decentralized exchange aimed at improving security and market access to new crypto users. OKX Global Managing Partner and Chief Marketing Officer Haider Rafiq joins us now. Haider, great to have you with us.
Thanks for having me, Melissa.
First, I want to talk to you about what is going on in crypto right now and whether or not you think that break below 100K is important in terms of the next leg, either lower or higher for Bitcoin.
I don't think so. I think this is a post-government shutdown era, or phase rather. I think consumers are taking some risk off the table. This is close to end of year, and people are just managing their portfolios accordingly. They want to see how the feds are going to react to the interest rates. And I think all that speculation is creating this pullback in the market. Now, one thing to consider is this is an asset that trades at $100,000. So when there's a 3-4% pullback, people really see that feeling pronounced. If you look at traditional equities, they can trade between, a few $100s. So if you see a 20% pullback on equities, it may not feel as troubling as one does with Bitcoin.
Hi there. So when you see the DeFi market, it's growing exponentially quicker than the centralized market, but it's obviously coming from a lower base. When you look at the hacks that Melissa just spoke about, when you look at that, and then you see where the market's going, cold wallet, hot wallet, it seems like the unbelievable growth is where you're at right now versus the centralized where the other players already exist. The growth is so much more than the other players.
Well, look, on the OKX exchange, we've seen about $88 billion worth of DEX trading volume just this year alone. But we're also a centralized exchange. So I think the key thing that we're looking at is when lower cap assets get put out in market, they first get listed on DEX markets. A lot of retail is actually attracted to those early markets before they become primary markets. And the way we signify primary markets is when an asset gets listed on a centralized exchange. And for a lot of retail and institutions, they think maybe that's a little too late for capturing the entire upside of their life cycle. So I think it's very interesting. We're going to continue to see DEX markets trade billions and billions of volume, compete with centralized exchanges. But we've got to consider one thing. Trading on a DEX is quite complex in its nature. It's built on top of a self-custody wallet. One's got to back up their seed phrases, figure out how to fund a really complex crypto wallet, and then figure out how to swap between assets before you can actually place your actual trade. This is why we've launched this product called CDeFi. We're supporting Solana and Base Network. The reality is we're not the first ones to do it. Just probably a month ago, Coinbase was the one that launched their CDeFi feature, introducing Base DEX markets. We've done exactly that. We've introduced Base, but we've also added Solana that makes us unique in the current market.
So can I just ask you a question to better understand how this is all working? So you have the decentralized exchange, which is complicated probably for many retail traders. And then you have this layer on top of it that makes it easier to approach. Is that layer in any way centralized in and of itself, just by the nature of it being that support layer, that wrapper?
Well, I think there could be components that one could argue have some centralized components, but I wouldn't say that it's completely centralized, that we still take care of the overall ethos of decentralized markets. So the way to think about it is if you open up the OKX app today, you see a number of different assets. We've included a new tab called DEX. When you click on this tab and you select any of the tokens, you're now able to use your exchange balance or your fiat balance and go in and out of these positions. The only thing you have to do is quickly create a wallet, but it's not as cumbersome as a DeFi wallet. You're able to store your backup phrase into your passkey on your device. You're able to use your exchange balance. You don't have to worry about the slippage you typically have to consider the risk on a DEX market. And lastly, we still have compliance controls here. We do transaction monitoring. We look at the quality of assets to make sure that we still have a healthy two-sided marketplace.